Death Note. The series has showcased the ultimate battle of good versus evil. Light and L engaged in this battle with to discover which was truly justice. No surprise that the Death Note author has mentioned how he made L the smartest character in the series. The plot required L to be this clever. If everything had gone according to plan, Light would have ultimately failed. This, however, comes in conflict with the official numbers assigned to characters' intelligence from the series. Surprisingly, the intelligence of L was rated to be 8 out of 10. Both Nier and Light scored above him with a 9 out of 10. This does bring into question what exactly this covers. When later asked a question about which was the smartest character, the author gave out L, and the artist for the series gave Nier instead. So what do you think? Who do you think was the smartest character in the series? You know that lovable apple-eating Shinigami as Ryuk. He's pretty carefree and looks like a demon wearing a trash bag with wings. Interestingly, Ryuk's appearance you see in the series is completely opposite to what was originally planned. The author Obata had initially made Ryuk look much more human. Take a look. If you look at his face, he even resembles Light a bit. The rest of his body, however, looks like something you see out of Frankenstein. It seems that this Ryuk is made out of one single body. Only pieces and chunks have started to decay. But anyway, why was this ultimately changed? The author Oba felt that having two very handsome leads would distract the audience from focusing on Light. Poor Ryuk, he wasn't allowed to look human in the end. Death Note originally could have been a much different series. The pilot for Death Note focuses on the 13-year-old boy. This kid finds the Death Note one day and accidentally ends up killing his bullies. The detectives in the series were also able to relate these various heart attacks back to a case in the 70s, so it seems Ryuk got bored every couple of years. Notably, in this series there was also this extra rule that the owner could not die via their own notebook. That would have definitely come in handy. If you've seen the recent live-action Netflix movie, you saw that there was actually a way to save people from the Death Note, but they didn't do it first. The Death Note pilot shows Ryuk offering the Death Eraser. This handy item made it possible to revive people whose name had been written in the notebook. The only condition was that their body had to not have been burned yet. Overall, this series just gives glimpses of what the series eventually became. It quickly ends with the Death Note getting burned. If you're watching this, you've definitely checked out the Death Note anime, and who knows, it might be in your top 10 anime. The man you could give thanks to giving you such an awesome series is Tetsuro Araki. His name may not sound familiar, but I just bet you that one of his other series could be one of your favorites. Araki has directed Boobs and Zombies, otherwise known as High School of the Dead, the action-packed Black Lagoon, The Mist that was Guilty Crown, that Attack on Titan clone on trains, Cabaneri of the Iron Fortress, and of course Attack on Titan Season 1 and Season 2. He also did work on the Levi No Regrets series. And yes, Araki's coming back for Attack on Titan Season 3 and Season 4. By the way, Araki has worked on SAO too. Pretty awesome. The physical Death Note is perhaps one of the most iconic items from anime. The series includes a lot of religious themes, so it's interesting what beta ideas included for the notebook design. Originally, the artist Obata suggested for the Death Note to be a Bible. According to him, this is something you would instantly think would be an instrument used to kill others. Other possibilities for a Death Notebook were also pretty interesting. One idea including the Death Note changing in style based on the time period. Shinigami should have been around forever, so naturally the Death Note wouldn't have started off as an actual notebook. During Roman times or ancient Japan, the notebook could have been a death scroll. Medieval Europe would have had something similar to the Old Testament. And who knows, it's possible that these ideas could still be used later on in the future. You may see a Shinigami with a death iPad later on. Death Note provides you with a lot of religious imagery and themes. The series notably has a very prominent use of crosses. They're practically everywhere if you read the manga. With the anime, however, it seems like they chose to dial it down a bit. Perhaps this was a case of self-censorship. One of the characters most affected by this was Misa. You see Misa wearing these generic earrings and necklace. The manga version of Misa preferred to go all out. She had crossed earrings, necklaces, and sometimes a collar too. Oh, and this isn't even getting into her wardrobe. Interestingly, you do get a glimpse of Misa with her original necklace in the first Death Note opening. In the second opening, however, they decided to go back to her generic earring and necklace. Perhaps they chose to get rid of these crosses later on in the production. It has been over a decade since you were blessed with the Death Note anime. It's become one of the most popular series of all time. There's a good chance that it might have been one of your first too. Naturally, Death Note has been adapted into live action. The first two Death Note movies tell a condensed version of the series. Mello and Nier were never introduced. It was completely focused on Light versus L. Oh, and spoiler, L manages to beat Light in these movies. After this, you got an L spin-off with L Changed the World. This tells you what L was up to before he dies. The final and latest Death Note movie was Death Note New Generation. It tells you a what-if story. What would happen if Ryuk got bored again and dropped more Death Notes after Light and L's battle? Oh, and did I say final movie? Unfortunately, there's one other. In 2009, Warner Bros. Bought the rights to make a live-action Death Note film, a Western version. The project wasn't going anywhere for years, so they decided to cancel it in 2015. If you're watching this, you might have already suffered through the Netflix Death Note movie. They bought the rights to the project and took over. Unsurprisingly, this Western Death Note version has not been loved. This movie had an estimated $40 to $50 million budget. One just wonders where the money even went to. A huge popularity isn't always great. This is especially true for Death Note. The series has been banned in China for themes presented in it. It all began with students in various regions taking self-made Death Notes, and then teasing their friends and teachers about writing their names in it. I'd imagine that most of these kids were just being kids and screwing around, but unfortunately a decent chunk were done in malice. Although this is not a unique story, especially here in the US. Perhaps the most infamous crime around the series occurred in Belgium in something called the manga murderer. In 2007, 2 notes were found saying "Watashi wa Kira desu," this meaning "I am Kira." They were found next to a mutilated body, and by body I really only mean the torso and thighs. It was such a mess that the detectives had trouble identifying the victim. Luckily, 2 of the guys were caught in 2013, and then a third one later on in 2015, so they were brought to justice, but it took quite a while. Thankfully, the worst of these was stopped early on. In 2015, someone got caught with a Death Note that had the names of teachers and students in Australia. Of course, it detailed how he wanted to take them all out. The notebook even detailed his master plan and how he would set up bombs around the school to kill as many people as possible. Once again, I'm really glad someone caught this guy very early on. You may recall Mello and Nier getting introduced as L's possible successor. What's interesting is that early in design, their names were actually swapped. The name Mello and Nier were supposed to represent their different personalities. Mello was the calm white-haired kid that you know as Nier, and likewise, Nier was a blonde guy nearing insanity. You know him as Mello. Something even more interesting about both of them has to do with their origin. You know them as orphans, but originally Mello and Nier were supposed to be related to L. In fact, they were supposed to be L's twin sons. The reason this got changed in the end was due to the series creator not being able to imagine L having sex ever. Ouch. As with most manga or anime series, there's quite a lot of ideas being thrown around in the editing room. Death Note is no exception. Fans of the series in general love everything up until L's death. The fandom is then split on what happens after with Mello and Nier. There's such a shift in the series, so what was the reason for this? The following series after Death Note by the author strongly hints at an answer. You might be familiar with it, Bakuman. If you've never seen the series, just know that it involves creating manga. During the series, there is this placeholder for a certain manga series. They mention how they're pressed by the editor to continue dragging on the story past the main rivalry. Sound familiar? Finding out that Death Note was really pushed and forced past the Light vs L conflict wouldn't be surprising at all. This would mean that Light's world would have been a reality after L died. No one would have been left to oppose Light. It would have just been him and fun times with his blonde girlfriend. But get this, another possible ending has been confirmed. Originally, Mello was supposed to be the victor at the very end. Nier winning, that was really just a last minute change. And what makes this even more weird or funny is that both the author and artist preferred Mello a lot more to Nier. If either of them had disagreed about Nier surviving, then they would have gone with the original ending of making Mello the winner. In either case, it is worth wondering about what could have been. Imagine a world where Light is the supreme victor, or perhaps a reality where Mello takes over as L. Perhaps the best case scenario would have been L winning and simply carrying on as usual. But what do you think? It's been over a decade since the series ended, so which character did you originally root for to come out on top? Is anyone out there still mad about Nier winning? Hey guys, thanks for watching. Please be sure to leave a thumbs up and subscribe, especially if Death Note is one of your favorite anime. Fun question of the day for you. Which is your favorite Death Note character? Was it Light, Misa, L, maybe Ryuk? Also, did you get a chance to see the Netflix Death Note movie? Post your thoughts down below if you survived it. I do suggest checking out my recent facts video on Kimi no Na wa, and I'll see you guys later.